Hello everybody, this is a video I've been meaning to make for a long time. I've had these supplies sitting here, but been so busy I haven't been able to do it. What you're looking at is a whole bunch of supplies that I bought for under $40, or right around $40, to make a turntable for photogrammetry, or you could use it for other things as well. But photogrammetry is an interest of mine, and so let's get into what we have here. So first of all, I've got a piece of wood that I got all these at Menards, by the way. I think everything except for the big sheet of paper that is not in the scene, I got at Menards. So this piece of wood, which is I think around $9, Lazy Susan, I think that was like $5, about $1.50. Don't remember this one, but I'll put all the prices up at the end of the video. A couple of light bulbs. These are high watt light bulbs that I will use with these generic little light, whatever you call those, floodlights. And then I just got a couple supplies from around the house. Like I've got a drill here that I've got like a little Phillips bit for, and I've just got a pencil, a ruler, some masking tape. And what I'm going to end up doing overall is I'm going to make a turntable, but then I'm going to make like a little backdrop for the turntable, so I have a neutral background. In this case I'm going to do white, but you could take whatever I'm doing here and actually put a black background in it. So if you want something that is kind of like a void, that's the way to go. And so I'm going to go ahead and just get started here. A lot of this stuff I won't need till later, so I'll go ahead and get rid of it. These lights are going to come in later. And these rubber stoppers are going to be for putting on the bottom of the Lazy Susan, or on the, I should say, on the metal part here, which will come in. I have 2 sheets of paper, and I'm going to use these as not only a measuring tool, or I should say a right angle tool for my finding the center of the wood piece, but I'm also going to use these to diffuse the lights. And actually I just remembered there's a couple things I didn't bring into the scene, which were these little clips. So I'm going to use these clips to clip the lights, and I got those at Menards as well. So let's just move everything to the side, and we'll go ahead and get started here. I'm just going to cut this open. So this is pine, and it's very soft. It doesn't, you don't have to worry about actually drilling into it, even though I do have a drill bit on my drill. I might go ahead and drop some little holes as pilot holes, but you don't have to do that for what I'm going to do here. But let's go ahead and figure out the center of this. So we're going to use the chord method, which is I'm just going to go ahead and measure from one edge of the circle to another edge of the circle. And in this case, I'm going to do 8 inches. And then I'm going to mark off the center of that. So I'm going to mark off where 4 inches is. And then I'm going to just put a light line here, because I'm going to erase, I'll probably erase it later because I just want this to look nice. So I'm going to do that 3 times. It's almost like you're making a triangle. And it doesn't have to be 8 inches. You could change the distance. You could actually even use different distances for each one of these chords, but I'm just using 8 again, and then do it again this way over here. So right there, and just put a white line. Should be right about at 8. And there we go. Okay, so what do you do next is you just take a piece of paper here, and I'm going to line it up. Actually, I'll do the one that's like in front of me so I can see it better. I'll line it up with this one first. And then I'm just going to basically draw a light line on the edge of the paper, hopefully not being too terrible at this. I actually have tools that I could do this with, but I just thought for the purposes of going low budget with this, I would do it with just paper. And I'll do that again, and as you can see, we're starting to get hopefully a center point, and then I'll just do that again as my last confirmation if I've done it right. And you can see that it's nearly hitting right in the center of the other two. Okay, so it's going to be right in the middle there. That's my center point. All right. So if we take that center point, and what we want to do is we want to take our Lazy Susan, and obviously our Lazy Susan's going to sit right in the middle there. So let's get this thing open. Drop my cap. So we're just going to go ahead and take this. And obviously we still have to find, we basically have to find where a cross section is. So if we go ahead and just put the ruler right here in the center, like so. Right, so it's hitting the center there. We'll just make a nice little line across. And we'll actually get somewhere where we can line up this thing here. So we'll know that that's right there. And then what we need to do is just do a 90-degree angle off of that from the center. So I'll just pull my paper out again. I'll put the corner right at the center. Make sure it's lined up just right. So I'm just going to lightly sketch a line here. And then I would do the same on the reverse side, although I think 3 should be enough. So if I get, oh, tell me I drew it out far enough. Dang nabbit, I didn't draw it out far enough. Let me do that one more time. There we go. All right. So if you get it placed on all 3 of these, where it's crossing all 3 of it right in the center of the holes, and we should have this going towards, I'm just kind of micro adjusting it here so they look like they're all hitting the center point. So now they all look good. Maybe this one over a little bit. About right there. That's pretty close. It doesn't have to be 100% perfect, but you want to get it pretty close. So I'm just going to put a little circle in there. And then I'm going to put a dot in the middle of the circle. And then I won't have to put the last one because once I get the other 2 in, this one will be fine. All right. So since you might not have a pilot, I'm just going to go ahead and take this off. And what you could do is you could just go ahead and kind of drop a little dent into this. And to do that, if I had a hammer close to me, that would be great. But this is soft pine, so I should be able to just go ahead and just pound it. But a hammer or, you know, like the end of a tool, you can see if you look closely, there's already a dent there. It's very, very easy to do. Actually, I could probably just do it with my 2 fingers, although I do have kind of meaty palms. All right, so let's get this thing on there. All right, this is the fun part. Now these are just, what do I have? 1/2-inch wood screws, and my suggestion is you get them in kind of light at first, Don't put them all the way down. So that's pretty close, but not all the way down. Same thing here. And those little dents I put in there help it just to sit right in the center. So I'm not kind of guessing as I'm trying to drill. There we go. Okay, I've got all that. And I'm just going to eyeball the center there. There's a lot of eyeballing going on here, which is all right. We're not doing anything that needs like super precision. Just going to dent that down again like I did before. And that one's a little bit off compared to the other ones, but I'm sure it'll be fine. And I'm just going to retighten these a little bit. You don't need to overdo it. It's pine. It'll tear up pretty easy. It's not amazing. But you should get a nice little kind of roundabout center thing like that. And yeah, that's pretty good. All right, we got a good start. Now, let's just go ahead and get our little sticky pads out. These are just like little rubber pads. They're pretty darn sticky. You know, I didn't notice this before, but they're not, maybe they are perforated. Maybe you got to punch them out. There we go. Yeah, you got to punch them out. Okay, so I'm just going to put these over the holes. So this will make it sit better. Whenever you're doing photogrammetry, you definitely want your turntable or whatever you're working on to be nice and stable. And I've made some of these before where I just had the metal down there and that'll slide. So getting a little rubber stopper that only costs a few bucks is worth your pennies. All right, there we go. Now if you take it and reverse it and just put it down and press down a little bit, you should have a good, nice solid surface to work with. We can put that stuff off to the side. And we're basically, the turntable part is done. So looks pretty good, and we'll go on to the next part. All right, so in the next stage, I've kind of already started it. I'm using a little tape here, and I'm gonna just wrap this around and put little tape, pieces of masking tape, different kind of tape, on there. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get somewhere where I can mark off 10-degree increments. Now, I've already measured this, and it actually comes out to 38 inches. So, you know, if it was 36, it would be exactly 10-degree increments. So 38 will be more than 10-degree increments if I mark off one at each inch. So I'm going to go with that. That'll actually give me more accurate results when you're doing photogrammetry. You're usually looking for at least a 10% overlap, or I should say 10-degree turn when you're going on a turntable. So I'm just going to drop some more pieces of tape here, and just so it can hold on. And I'm not putting them all the way on like super tight. I'm just kind of laying them on there pretty loose just so they stay. And then I'm going to come in with a little marker. I'm going to mark off each inch. So 2 pi r, if you don't have a 12-inch one like this, 2 pi r is how you figure out your circumference. And then you just got to break that down into 10-degree increments. So that could be something that you work out in your math, and that should get you where you need to go. So let's just get this thing like that. And so I'm just going to wrap that like that. And I'm not worried about it being, like I said, like I want it to be good. But it's just not like I'm machining this with, you know, some kind of special tools. So I'm just kind of going to get it on there and get it pretty close so I have a roundabout. And now that it's on there, I'll go through with this little marker, and I will just mark off every little tick mark at each inch. Probably turn it up like this, it'll be easier. All right, so I finished my tick marks, and then I decided to just take a little bit thicker marker and go around it and mark off all the numbers. So you don't actually, when you're doing photogrammetry, you don't have to literally hit every tick mark. You can try if you do every 2 or something like that, how well it works. But the more coverage you have, the more accurate your work will be for sure. So in this next part here, I've got this nice size box that I got from U-Haul. And what I'm going to end up doing is making a cut on here that's going to kind of go like, let me show you from the right side here. I'm going to go kind of like that on both sides, and then this part, that gets killed, that goes away. And then I'm going to lay a piece of paper inside here like so. And that's going to be kind of like this nice cyc backdrop that has like a fading fall off. For the size of this, this is about 2 feet by 18 inches. You know, it depends on the size of the paper that you have. I have a big white piece of paper right here. Actually, I'm going to use a different piece, but because this one's got a sticker on it. I got this at Walmart for, I think they were $1.50 a piece. It might have even been less than that. It might have been like 50 cents a piece. And I used the flat, white side because there is kind of a glossy white side. You don't want to use the glossy white side because you get reflections. So you want like the flat white. So basically, the next step is just cutting this and then getting busy with putting that paper in there. So let me grab my little cutter here. This is just an X-Acto knife. I could probably get a better one. I have a box cutter and probably be better, but this will do. So I'm just going to cut this down like that. Take care that your fingers don't get in the way. And like I said, a box cutter might be a little bit better, but it's what I had on hand. And what I'll end up doing is taking this side and folding it, like basically cutting it all the way off and then folding it to the other side so I can get a nice symmetrical cut on the other side. I've cut the one side, I've got the reverse side like this, and all I need to do is hold this up to here where the fold happens and basically just trace this down like so. And throw that off to the side. And now I can use my new and improved box cutter, which I had in the drawer over there. And that works much, much easier. Just wiggle that through like so. Okay, now a couple things. I did make sure that when I was cutting, I wanted to make sure that I had this edge that has kind of like the glue on the side over here, so that way I didn't totally cut through it, because that's going to help hold stuff together. I just felt like it was a good structural edge to have that extra support right there. And so the next thing I want to do is take my paper, measure my paper out to this length because the paper is actually larger, and then I'm going to cut the paper out and slide it in there, and it's just a matter of taping it down. So if you have a self-healing cutting mat like I've got right here, it's a great thing to have for cutting a piece of paper. I've got my paper here. You want to draw the line and make your marks on the side you're not going to use. And then I have a cork back ruler here. If I pull it all the way back, you can see it's got cork on it. It's really great for not slipping. I'm going to make a nice clean cut from the top all the way to the bottom. But watch your fingers when you do this, because I can tell you from experience, I almost clear cut the tip of one of my fingers off. It was not a good thing, and it held me up from doing a bunch of art projects for a while, and that was pretty disappointing. So just be careful when you're using these little razor knives. And if you can get a nice clean cut like that, you're good to go. Now I've actually cut both pieces of paper that I had. I said I was only going to use one, but it turns out that my box is actually pretty long in the vertical, so I actually need both sheets of paper. So If you're going out to get supplies for this, maybe get an extra sheet just in case. I've cut down the one white piece to cover the whole bottom, like so. So it'll slide right in there. But before I get started, I need to get this so it's level. And as you can see, one of the pieces fell off. So I'm gonna have to put something in here, like so that this can sit nice and level. And I've resorted to actually using box tape now instead of my masking tape, because honestly, my masking tape is probably, I don't know, 10 years old. It's a roll that I've had for a long, long time, and it's just starting to fall apart. So I have other masking tape that's thinner, but I wanted to use nice thick tape. So I'm just gonna tape that down there, and just for safekeepings, I'll put a couple pieces of tape off the front here. Now what I usually like to do, and I actually have a bunch of tape tore out already off to the side, is I'll just put it out hanging off the edge of a table. Obviously, if you have like a wood finish, you might not want to do that on a nice wood table, but that should do it for that. And then all I need to do now is go ahead and slide this in, and I'm gonna go ahead and just do that. There we go. And what's gonna happen now is I'm going to put this on a nice little angle like this, and it's gonna sit down like that. And then the carousel will sit right in the middle like that. Okay, so you'll pretty much always get a shot from the back or from where you'll see the carousel, so you won't see that seam that's gonna be left in there for the most part. All right, so now that this is there, all I have to do is just take my pieces that I already cut, put a couple of them on here. That should hold this in place. If I felt the need, I could put a couple pieces in the back here, and or maybe even just one piece towards the back so this thing holds in place and doesn't pull forward. There we go, so I've got one in the back. And then I'll put this up here and kind of find out where I like it. And I typically am thinking like the carousel is gonna be, you know, most of the way forward, but not all the way. And almost maybe so it's like cutting in half here. And that looks pretty good to me, and that looks pretty even. So all I need to do now is go ahead, drop the rest of the tape on there. I just messed that piece up. I was trying to cut it in half because it was kind of long. But I'm going to go ahead and just throw a piece there. I'll tear one little piece off, throw it here. And then I've got two more pieces over here already torn off. And then these I can put up here. I could also trim the top of this off because obviously I don't need this extra border here, but maybe this will keep the top of my thing clean, so if I bump it or something, it won't get mangled up. So that's it. That's pretty much it for the little housing here. So now if you put your objects here and you have your lights here, you get this nice flat background. You'll have your camera set in one spot and you'll just be turning this. And one thing you could do is put like a marker right in the middle here so that you have something to mark off on the paper where you're actually, that aligns with this little mark right here. In fact, speaking of, now that I'm thinking about it, it would be nice for me to just come and bring the mark down to the bottom so you can kind of see if it's lined up. But you don't, as long as you're close doing the photogrammetry, you'll be fine. It doesn't have to be super, super precise. So, next stage. Okay, so here we go. I've got the paper on here. It's not touching the lamp. These LED lamps, they're pretty cool as it is. They get more heated at the back, but still I feel like I don't want to put anybody in danger. So actually I think with the fogginess of the plastic that goes over these LED lamps, I actually think it might be fine without the paper. And when you turn both of them on, it's probably blasting my camera out now, way overexposed. But yeah, it gets really, really bright. Let's see if I can switch the camera so you can kind of see it a little bit better. Yeah, so I've got a little object in there. This is going to be probably the first thing I photogrammetry on this, and I'm trying to get it right in the center so I can keep the camera in one place right here, and it'll be nice and evenly lit. And whenever I hit the background, it'll be completely white, so it'll be easy to cancel that kind of stuff out. Over on this side, I've got this like little weighted piece that I'm putting the lamp on. Anything that is heavy, if you can't put it on the side of the box, like any kind of heavy piece of something that the lamp won't fall over would work. But if you've got the box strong enough, and I might even reinforce this box so that it stays nice and strong. As long as I don't hit it, this is really, really good. This is a great, nice, even light over this whole thing. I can tell especially because I'm not casting any really hard shadows. So it's looking pretty good, and that's the homemade Lazy Susan photogrammetry device for under 50 bucks. All right. This is a look at the little thingamadoohicker, whatever this is. It came from a tree, obviously. I don't know what it is, but that's a look at it. And there's my little tough camera and the lights. So I wanted to show you all the cost of everything and make an admission of a math error that I made. So I originally said that everything was around $40 or under 50, and I was wrong because I forgot to count two of these items, which was the clamp light and the light bulbs. So it actually brings us to $56.90 roughly, and that's before tax. So it'll probably cost about $60 to get all these supplies. You probably don't need these clamps if you're not going to use some translucent paper, which I would say you don't really even need. And then buying 2 boards I think is a good idea. So here's a picture that I got out of my Olympus TG6, and the name of this tree I went and looked up. It's called a sweet gum tree, and this is the seed pod from it. And my TG6 was set to the microscope mode, so you can get really, really close. It does some amazing pictures. And then let's take a look at the model. So this is what we got from the model. Let's look at, this is what it looks like without any texture. You can see how much detail is in there. Pretty amazing. And it actually nicely closed the holes. AggieSoft Metashape closed the holes just pretty much perfectly. And this is what it looks like with just vertex colors. And this was built on high, but I could have gone even higher. This is with the textures. So now you'll notice that there's this effect going on here where I'm getting these edges that are looking wrong. That's because this is the bottom and there was really no information. So if the picture's being taken from basically like this angle, the only information it's picking up is the wood disc that it's spinning on. It's taking those pixels and filling it in. So if I would have flipped this and did both sides and put those together, which you can do, then it would have gotten rid of this right here. And you know, maybe at some point I will do that, but I just didn't want to go through that whole process for this first round. So anyway, you can see results were good. We've got a 860,000 face model, and I think that's a win for the first try using this new turntable and light system. So, and as you can see, I have only like 80 something pictures in here, so not that many. Because yeah, 86 cameras. Let's look at it. Let's pull this down. If I can. There we go. So I kind of went through it pretty fast, and it was still able to get a pretty darn good accurate result. I probably could have done like one more pass higher up, and then definitely if I flipped it, it would have kind of closed the deal and made this thing amazing. So, but still looks pretty good. And that's a 12 megapixel camera, so it just shows that, you know, even not having super high resolution, you can still get really good results. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I will not see you in the next one. Everybody says that. I will talk to you in the next one. Goodbye.